and heads for the state less than 2 weeks after Helene.
All folks on the west coast of the Florida Peninsula should be prepared for potential major impacts.
Though Governor Ron DeSantis says there's still some uncertainty about the track, right now Milton is a Category 5 hurricane.
It is predicted that this will weaken, but it was not predicted that it would get this strong to begin with. So we can hope and pray that it does weaken. But as of right now, this is a ferocious hurricane.
The center of the storm could make landfall Wednesday evening, possibly in the Tampa Bay region, which hasn't had a major hurricane head on in more than a century. A candle lighting at the White House to mark 1 year since the Hamas terror attacks that led to the war in Gaza.
A year after the October 7th attack against Israel, 101 hostages remain inside Gaza. More than half of them, according to a senior Israeli official, are still alive.
Fox's Trey Yingst. In New York City, hundreds of pro-Palestinian protesters are marching, some vandalizing two city university campuses. Georgia's heartbeat abortion law is reinstated a week after a lower court called it unconstitutional.
A judge in Fulton County recently striking down a Georgia law barring most abortions in the battleground state after 6 weeks of pregnancy, noting 6 weeks is often before women know they're pregnant, and saying the right to liberty includes a person's right to make decisions about their own health care. The ruling meant abortion was legal in the state up to 22 weeks of pregnancy, but the state appealing the decision days later.
Fox's Christian Goodwin. The state Supreme Court now allowing the 6-week ban to remain in place while it considers the state's appeal. A sell-off on Wall Street, the Dow down 398 points at the bell. America is listening to Fox News.
Hi, Donald Trump Jr. here. I never thought I'd see price fixing as a campaign promise. What's next? Is your 401k or IRA on the left's to-do list? This is why you need to act now and protect your nest egg. I believe gold is the answer. To find out more, get a free info kit from Birch Gold by texting the word SHELTER to the number 989898. Act now to secure your financial future. Text SHELTER to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
The U.S. Supreme Court says an Alabama fertility clinic cannot avoid a wrongful death claim as part of a civil suit.
The ruling allows a couple to sue the Center for Reproductive Medicine based in Mobile for destruction of their frozen embryos. The clinic said a patient got access to storage and dropped some samples, including one belonging to the couple. Alabama's highest court says under state law, embryos are considered children. That law caused many clinics that offered in vitro fertilization to put the procedures on hold. The Mobile-based clinic appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, saying its right to due process was violated. Two other couples who were part of this suit have dropped their claims. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
2 years after SpaceX was denied more than $800 million in rural broadband subsidies for its Starlink satellite internet unit, a House panel is investigating the decision. The FCC said Starlink failed to meet basic program requirements and could not demonstrate it would deliver promised service. The Republican chair of the House Oversight Committee now asking the
craft is beginning a 2-year journey to the asteroid to examine the impact's aftermath and see what happened to it. Researchers want to know if NASA's DART spacecraft left a crater or reshaped the asteroid.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers recapping the Wall Street slide. The Dow drops nearly 400 points. The S&P also down nearly 1%. The NASDAQ down more than 1%. Lisa Brady, Fox News.
You think football is still fun?
Yes.
Sir?
Yes, no.
No?
Sir, well, it was fun.
Not anymore, though, is it? Is it?
No, not right now.
No, it's not fun anymore, not even a little bit.
Bravo.
Here comes
the one and only Jay Lane.
We talk about everything. If you guys want the real talk,
here we go.
In this season, guys.
Altmyer caught,
takes care of everything. That's what I'm excited about.
Begging up the middle. And ahead to the 15.
First and 10 for the Illini. Football is such an emotional game. The stakes are just higher.
Illinois upsets Maryland on homecoming.
You never know what's going to happen in a given game.
Lon got off the ledge. He's in the penthouse.
Come join me.
He's in the jacuzzi hanging out. He believes that this is the team. The opposite of last year. We are high on the hopium.
One other thing.
I love the war chant.
Do it. Do it.
Do it.
Let's go!
Let's get back after it, boys. Hey, what's up? It's The Drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. It is the Jay Lehman Hour. It's back to being game week here in Champaign. And here come the awful Purdue Boilermakers. 1-4, Ryan Walters' squad. Yes, the series says Illinois should beware of Purdue. They've won 6 straight in Champaign. That's hard to imagine, but it is crazy. A fact. Illinois sitting there as a big favorite. 19.5 points is the point spread right now.
When's
Jay
the
Lehman.
last time we had a 19.5 point spread against a Big Ten team?
I looked it up.
Guys, we even talk about that beforehand. Sometimes we do that. I did not even do that. He just on it.
I looked it up here in the parking lot, actually, after I pulled up. It's been since 2010. Illinois was a 21-point favorite against Minnesota. That was the year that Tim Brewster got fired midseason. Minnesota was 1-9. Illinois was 5-4. The final score, my friends, 38-34. Minnesota pulls the upset.
Holy cow. That was the first year of SJ Broadcasting. 2010.
I remember
That's
doing
crazy.
a game for Big Ten Network somewhere, like as a pre-game or something. I saw Illinois got beat. I was just like, there we go again.
So you were a 20-point favorite and lost at home.
That's the only time I could find since 2000 that Illinois has been at least a 20 or at least a 19-point favorite at home. Or
So you're
home
saying
or road.
there's a chance for
Yeah,
Purdue?
unfortunately, history would say yes.
Well, what I'll say is this: is Purdue statistically, if you take out the first game, even if you don't take out the first game against Indiana State, against FBS opponents, they are the worst statistically across the board.
Wow.
Offense and defense. And this is a team who I got to call that week 1 game at West Lafayette against Indiana State. This is a team, they legitimately thought they had gotten kind of, I think the Big Ten writers voted them 17th or 18th. Walters had brought in a lot of guys at the skill position for the portal. They have a top 25 recruiting class. They were recruiting well. They've had a lot of decommits the last 2 weeks.
Sure.
And you thought, okay, this may be trending up. Guys, I've been on some bad football teams. 2005, we were as bad as you can be at Illinois football. Lost to Penn State 63-10. We were probably, I think we're like 124th in defense. This team is playing that bad.
Wow.
That's how bad that team is playing right now from an offensive standpoint, from a defensive tackling standpoint. I listened to all 4 minutes and 20 seconds of Ryan Walters' presser after the Wisconsin game. I don't know if he was just unbelievably upset or just unbelievably defeated or both, but man, it did not sound good. And And I feel bad for Ryan. I feel bad for Kevin Kane, Corey Patterson, some of those guys that made the track over there because I think they're good guys. They contributed to that 2022 season. But if you're Illinois, this is Big Ten football. We don't feel bad for people having a bad season.
No, we do not.
Nobody ever felt bad for us, okay? You have absolutely got to win this game, and I want to win it with 250 rush yards. I want to see us work. It's like when you're watching a Bears game. You're like, okay, are they winning? Oh, my gosh, they're winning. Okay, how is Caleb Williams doing? Is he progressing?
Yeah, right.
It's kind of like when we watch this game, are they progressing? Are they learning how to run the football between the tackles? So that's kind of what I'm looking for.
Purdue has given up 37 points per game this season. That's the worst at any power conference level, and 240 yards per game given up on the ground. So in line with what you're saying, you'd pretty much be season average against Purdue if you run for 250.
I mean, they are so bad defensive. That's the shocking part. I knew they were going to have trouble with their offensive line and protecting quarterback. Hence, Graham Harrell, their offensive coordinator, got fired in, I think this is the third time Graham Harrell's got fired. He got fired at USC. Lincoln Riley didn't keep him on. He went to West Virginia for Neil Brown. Is it Neil Brown? No. Neil Brown's the jeweler. Some guy named Brown at Brown at West Virginia. That was a local joke for you guys.
I liked it.
And then he goes to Purdue with this air raid. And it's like, here's the thing about the air raid. It's like you're either hot or you're not, right? Because like Cliff Kingsbury, hottest coordinator around.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Had a good year for the Cardinals one time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then was like, it's just crazy, right? He's like the hottest coordinator. He's going to be a head coach next year.
Right.
That's how it is because you just rotate stuff. Now, if you're Graham Harrell, you're not hot right now, right? You're like at the very bottom. So, like, air raid works, but it ain't working over. It wouldn't work there. And now they got a former high school football coach from Ben Davis who was an analyst at Miami of Ohio and now here at Purdue calling the plays.
Wow.
I'm like, hey, we got to dial. I don't care if Ryan Walters knows all our calls. If you can run the ball down the throat of them and win. Here's the thing, 52-6, it looks really bad. 28-3 against Nebraska looks bad. It was 0-0 against Nebraska. It was a game in the first two quarters against Wisconsin. So I don't want Illinois fans freaking out if it's 14-3 at the end of 2. All right? It could be that. All right? And no one else, it might be that.
We'll get to the Illinois side of this, but like you said, you've been in a locker room like that in 2005. They come off 52-6. They're having, not that the players care, but recruiting is now their recruiting class is coming apart a little bit. Ryan Walters says the thing I hate is that we're a bad football team right now. Where do you think their mindset is? Can you make a team like that quit if you jump on them early? What's probably going through the minds of the Purdue players right now as they're gearing up for this game?
Good question. I will tell you this. I was going into games, no matter what the coaches say, of like, we got a chance here. We're going to do this. I was going to like, we're probably going to lose. I was born at night, but not last night. Right? I realized like, okay, I just got crushed. And you see other teams playing teams like, okay, I see that Wisconsin played Iowa and we lost to Iowa by 30 and Wisconsin beat them by 2.
So what does that tell you?
Okay, probably, and you hear like what you're favored for and different things, more so now than back then. But I was always focused on like, okay, I can't control any of that. I got to do the very best that I can do.
Whatever I can do.
I got my mom's watching in the stands, my girlfriend. I got people out there that like, it's an honor to play football. So like, I mean, you're going to, for me, it was never a lay down thing, but it was like, man, there is a collective sense of when you get down like 2 scores with an offense that can't move the ball. It's like, okay, here we go again.
Yep.
How can I play the best I can this game? And you kind of flip from, am I going to win this game or am I not going to win this game? And you kind of do that. That's the switch you want to get flipped early. It's like when you're playing an FCS team. You want to just take all the life out of them immediately. The longer they stay into the game, the more confidence they get. Like, oh, man, this could be the game, right? It's like when we were 28-point dogs, I think, at Michigan State in 2006 when we beat Michigan State. We just kind of hung around in that game,
That's awesome.
Just kind of hung around. And then you end up like third quarter, like, oh my gosh, we a couple plays away from winning, right? It's kind of like if Illinois plays Purdue like they played against Penn State, like if Purdue plays like, what I'm trying to say is if Purdue plays like Illinois when Illinois is playing Penn State, they kind of hung around in the fourth quarter, right? That's the recipe for disaster. If Illinois plays like they played against Penn State or against Nebraska, they'll boat race Purdue. They'll win by 3 touchdowns. Now, they got to be ready to play. I'm sure Brett's went through it all. There's all kinds of things. You want to just mark it up as 5-1, but we just can't.
I know. Well, I want to ask you, you've played on good teams as well.
Sure.
Is there a fear ever? We always go, what do we call those? And it seems seemingly we call those in basketball. It's like that game in between a big game. What do we call? There's a term we use. I can't think of it.
It's kind of like a letdown spot. Or
Yeah. Something like that.
Trap game.
Trap game. That's it. So you know what's happening in 2 weeks,
sure.
Right? You've got a Michigan team coming for a rededication of Memorial Stadium. I know I've been looking forward to that since the season even started, let alone today.
I saw CBS picked up that game. Brad Nessler and
2:30 start.
Gary Danielson. Give you some time to have some delayed breakfast. Doesn't have to be at 6 a.m.
2 straight 2:30 starts. I'll sign up all day for that. I do have a question about that in a minute. But with that said, you were a good team that was winning games. Did you ever have that thought where you're like, oh well, we should beat them, but that team next week is going to be really good?
Sure.
How do you overcome that?
Well, first off, we weren't very good the year before, so I never felt like Zook always told us, listen, like you're never in a position to think you're going to beat anybody. These guys beat you last year,
right?
So they got some of the same guys.
Yep.
I think the same thing could be said about this football team, but the problem is these guys are all 18 to 22. And it's like, hey, there's this Michigan game, and then we go out to Oregon, and we do this, and we could be that, and we could be this. Listen, you gotta beat Purdue, and don't put bad stuff on tape. The moment you lose to Purdue, if we're sitting here, we're 4-2 next week. You are going to be.
I won't be here.
You won't be here. Okay. He's jumping. It's going to be like that, though. You're going to feel
I will be here, but not if we lose to Purdue.
You're going to feel like we threw away that overtime win on the road at Nebraska, which looks like a quality football team.
Yep, that's exactly right.
You're going to feel that way. You're like, when we're going to pick up another one like that.
It would take the life out of me.
It would.
It really would.
You would be a disaster. But at the same time, we win. And I don't think, and they got Michigan as an off week. I don't think Michigan's that good. I think we're even with Michigan right now, other than their ability to run the football and stop the run. I think we've got better quarterback play, got better play in different areas. I think it's a toss-up, especially at that game at home. I think it's a pick-em. So I think you look at this game and you're like, we have got to dominate this game. I would love to get the subs in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
I would love to get everybody healthy.
See Donovan Leary in there throwing it around.
Deep ball Don, right? I mean, deep ball Don. I saw throw his deep balls in the spring game. So, I mean, I want to see him throw something else. Stay healthy and win. It's been a long time since we've said just get out of Dodge with a Big Ten opponent.
Yep.
But it's got to be Purdue. It is a rivalry game, meaning that we play this team every year in the new Big Ten setup along with Northwestern. And it's a trophy game. I know that Cannon's ever been fired ever. But we want the Cannon back, right? Because we sure ain't getting the Illinois back this year because we don't play.
Nope.
I don't know if do you get the trophy back if you play in the Big Ten championship game? I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't know. I've never thought about that because we've never had the situation to think about that.
You should, yeah.
Yeah. But that being said, we got to win this game.
Yeah, I agree. I got one about bye weeks. Realistically, what can you improve on, correct, or even add on a 1 week bye week?
Okay, that's a good question because Johnny Newton ain't coming through those doors.
Right.
So I think first and foremost, I think you need to figure out schematically. I like the bend but don't break. I mean, there's been guys when we've seen multiple throws of 20 yards or more on an Illinois defense in games. Like I'm trying to think of. I have not seen that many deep balls completed in the first 5 games. Now I have seen us gashed for 15, 20-yard runs. How do we schematically change it? Is it getting Matthew Bailey into the box? Is it getting Odaluga, somebody a little more beefy at linebacker to make some tackles in the box? Is it some run stuffing blitzes? There's different kinds of pressures. There's pressures to take advantage of a protection, and there's a run stuffing blitz, which, hey, we're going to take out all the holes. You got to run all the way around it, and by that time, we're going to basically have enough guys to rally and make the tackle. So I think you can do one of those two things. I'd like to see Matthew Bailey in the box. I'd like to see Xavier Scott at the nickel, who seems to be physical at the point of attack, more in the box, right? Okay. Some of that is personnel dictated, right? Are they going to run 4 wide? Are they going to run air raid and try to spread us out? They have been able to run the ball decently as far as Purdue goes for Mockabee. And secondly, can we run the ball between the tackles? Most of our yards have been outside of the tackles with the tight end, with Melvin Priestley or J.C. Davis. I want to see Geske, Wigington, Kreutz, Whiteneck, Chrysler. I want to see those guys block at a higher level with better pad coverage. So I want to see us running the football better.
Okay.
Other than that, you got to love the turnover margin. You think special teams has been solid.
Yeah.
Our quarterback has been solid.
Yes.
Maybe too solid not to get offers in the portal in the offseason, which is a whole nother thing I'm thinking about, right? And that's a whole nother topic, especially if you're Michigan. What would you pay to have Luke Altmaier as your quarterback right now?
They're two quarterbacks this weekend threw. Jack Tuttle threw for 98 yards. Alex Orji threw for 15. They threw for 113 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
And this ain't 1974. Right. Like, I get that you want to run the football show more, but, man.
Holy
I know you had a first-round draft pick that with J.J.
Sure.
McCarthy getting picked up. But
I'd give Luke Altmaier $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing. Let's say Luke Altmaier has a similar second half of the season. Let's say he ends up with 25 touchdown passes and 5 picks, which is highly plausible. He's at 11-1 right now.
Absolutely.
11 touchdowns, 1 interception. What's to stop, Michigan from coming in and offering somebody that, now they can't directly talk to Luke Altmaier, right?
Sure.
They can't necessarily do that.
Kirk Ferentz can.
Kirk Ferentz. They could talk to a high school coach. But this is where you have to lean on, the relationship with Barry Lunney and say, hey, you may be able to go somewhere else right now, but what if I'm here and it's the same system?
Yeah.
And you could go from a third-round pick to a second-round pick, or maybe a first-round pick if you really do it right. So, and the portal's an exact science. Most people at Hudson Card graded higher than Luke Altmaier when Purdue and Illinois were kind of going for him. But it looks like Luke Altmaier is a better player right now. So
I thought of this yesterday watching Brock Purdy, who did not have a good game. Brock Purdy, Iowa State, last pick of the draft, and he's been really good for the Niners. And I thought to myself, and I'm not saying Luke Altmaier's Brock Purdy, but I was literally sitting there going, would I have been watching tape of Brock Purdy his senior year and thinking, this is Luke Altmaier now? 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mean, it's hard to fathom that. It's hard to believe, Altmaier can go quarterback the San Francisco 49ers to the playoffs. Sure. So it's hard to kind of set that into your mind, but it's just interesting when you look at it. And Altmaier's, he's good, man. And against Penn State, I thought he played really well.
For as much duress as he was under and bad situation, I think the average third down was 3rd and 10.
Oh.
Guys, that is like murder. We're lucky that Luke did get hurt that game.
He got 7 sacks,
took some shots. Oh. He got a lot more hits. He's played great. I just think these are different things that you got to think about with college football programs now. But I look at, I don't even know where we were when I got off the tangent of Luke Altmaier's almost playing so good he's going to attract attention, right?
I had asked you about improvements during a bye week. You answered it.
I don't necessarily think that Luke Altmaier, I'm really satisfied. If he keeps playing like he's playing, we'll have 8, 9, possibly 10 wins in this season.
That's awesome.
One angle you can't deny with this matchup, Jay, is the familiarity with the two sides. I know that was something that we probably talked about last year. Walter's over there. Even this past offseason, Andy Boo, Reggie Love going to the Boilermakers side. Do you have to actively think about that if you're Brett Bielema and company in terms of what they know about you, whether you need to do something outside of your tendencies or something they might have inside knowledge on, or is that something that isn't as big of a deal? Both sides are going to know each other. It's about who executes better and who has better players.
Well, I think Isaiah Williams mentioned last year that they knew the calls. Like they knew all the calls that we had, and that's one of the better games that Purdue played was against us. Yep. It always seems to be that's one of the better games they play. So I think you have to mix some different things up, but there comes a time, and maybe the audio in the helmets helps with that because you're huddling up, and so there's less signaling, there's less verbal stuff, especially if you're outside a 2-minute. But there comes a time when you may know what they're doing. Like I knew that when I played Michigan, they would run the lead draw 10 to 12 times to my cart. I knew that was coming. I just couldn't stop it. So it should be good enough. I don't care if you know something's coming. If you can't stop it, like a run, like there's been games I'm, man, I know this is coming. We can't stop it. It's like, it's okay if you don't play.
Stop doing it.
It's just like, it was brutal, and I just like, all right, this is life, this game. Like they're going to run this play. So there comes a degree you just get totally overpowered that you cannot stop them, right? Unless you're some elite team and you don't get overpowered. So I want to get us to the point where we're overpowering Purdue. And it kind of melts down and mutes the the result of them knowing our signs or signals or the familiarity.
Will we get to a point where Illinois is overpowering people, or is that something we should, I wouldn't say give up hope on? It just feels like until we see it, the interior of that offensive line take another step forward, there is going to be that feeling of leaving something more to be desired and questioning whether they can do that up front.
And that's why I want to see. I want to see if we can take that next step. They've had the 5 weeks to kind of self-scout and say, okay, what do we got to do differently? I think what's concerning to me is the two players that transferred on the O-line, Melvin Priestley and J.C. Davis, seem to be grading out the highest. And it's like, okay, did they develop better somewhere else than they developed here? And so
that's a fair point.
That's a question I'm asking myself, because you'd feel like, okay, well, they're getting used to this staff, and they're getting used to this scheme, and those two guys are out on an island, and I feel like we give the tackle more of a benefit of the doubt because they got a tough one-on-one pass. They've been great. You don't even talk about J.C. Davis because he's good.
Right.
He's not making mistakes, right? And so I really feel like they've got to figure out offensive line-wise what is going on and why can't we run the ball up the middle like we need to. And if you have that, think how good Luke's done without that. Think about Pat Bryant and Zachary Franklin on it. Now, I do think having Henry Boyer back to get us into 12 personnel, have some big boy personnel in there, not only to run the football, but to max protect. Protect with 7, 8 guys. Let Zachary Franklin, Pat Bryant have time to do deeper routes and isolate them. Let Luke throw the ball up there. I think that's going to add into it because we had Cole Russ banged up. Then we had Boyer banged up. Griffin Moore transferred. We got Goda in there from, I don't know where he's from, but some small school. Scored touchdowns against Penn State. Good for him. He was hurt the first 3 or 4 weeks. We haven't been able to run the 12 and 22 personnel. Get Brandon Henderson out. Shoot, he's got better hands than most people. So all these different things we throw in there, I think you're going to see.
Why do they call it, real quick, why do they call it the 12 personnel?
Yeah, good question. So it's one back, two tight ends. One back, two tight ends.
1-2. Got it.
And then the receivers are going to be your other players, right? So in 10 personnel, it's one back, 0 tight ends. There's going to be 4 receivers.
Boom.
Because there's 5 players outside of the offensive linemen that are not the quarterback.
Okay.
Right?
I had never heard that.
So 12 personnel, 11 personnel is 1 back, 1 tight end. 13 personnel, 1 back, 3 tight ends. 22 personnel is 2 backs, 2 tight ends, and 1 receiver. So you see, that's how you kind of knock it out. And you'll see these big cards on the out,
next to the Homer Simpson,
the sideline next to Homer Simpson, 12, 22, right? And so that teams are always trying to disguise what personnel they're in. They used to have the old run the sweep into the boundary or the bubble screen into the boundary. Everybody runs out of bounds like they're blocking, and then they substitute really quick so you don't know who's coming in. But you'll know between a game, like, okay, we know that if 88 and 85 for Illinois, it's got to be 12 personnel in there, right? But also, if I see Aiden Lawfrey and I see Caden Fagan and I see Tanner Arkin, well, that's going to be 21, 2 backs, 1 tight end. You probably have, so that's going to determine what personnel is in there. Is it going to be a base call, a nickel call, a dime call?
Wow.
Okay. Then I got to get the personnel. Out of that personnel, we got to look at what the down and distance is. Okay. Out of the down and distance and personnel, they're going to call based on the tendencies, the down and distance and personnel that's in the game. And then I'm going to go through as the middle linebacker, the 3 or 4 plays that they've run out of this down and distance and try to narrow it down, check the receiver split, check the depth of the back, check the lean of the offensive lineman, and try to understand what they're going to do to attack us. Now, that was a lot, guys.
All in 20 seconds.
And if that overwhelmed you, here's 20 seconds of the sponsor. CEFCU, guys. CEFCU.com. More than a bank. It's better. Yes. Car loans, auto loans, home loans. Car loans and auto loans are the same things, but it's not that good. Home loans, commercial lines of credit, commercial loans. Of course, there's also A&R Mechanical, AR-MECH.com. Head on over to the website, design, build, maintain. They've been doing that for 99 years, going to be 100 years in 2025. So cool. They have developed iconic structures in Champaign-Urbana, such as the State Farm Center, the addition to the Memorial Stadium complex there in 2008, and the Smith Center, which is where the football program trains and is their practice facility. Dick Van Dyke Appliance World, home of the free 10-year protection plan, and in Long Branch Steakhouse, don't forget the fried pickles.
Hey. If you got a question for Jay, hit us up, 217-359-2255 on the Max Twin City Recycling text line. We've had plenty weigh in already. We'll get to those as we go along. Also talk about what was a crazy weekend in the college football landscape, as well as how things are shaping up in the Big Ten. Lots still to do. We'll be back with Jay. This is The Drive.
Here's another home improvement insight from Kramer Siding and Window. New roofing and siding are a winning combination that can instantly change the look, feel, and function of your home. Our Kramer Siding and Window team takes pride in being an Owens Corning Platinum Preferred contractor, able to offer a best-in-the-business 50-year warranty. Pair it with Preservation Siding in your favorite style and color, and your home will be a showstopper. Start today and save 10% on roofing and 25% on siding. Call us, click on KramerSiding.com, or visit the showroom in Champaign.
Your favorite Mexican restaurant, El Toro on West Springfield in Champaign, is still open 7 days a week despite the construction on West Springfield. If you're craving those mouthwatering Mexican dishes, just enter from the east. When you see the barricade at Springfield and Kenwood, look for their special driveway. It'll guide you straight to El Toro. El Toro will be serving up your favorites all through the construction for the next 5 months. Open daily and ready to welcome you. El Toro, your destination for authentic Mexican cuisine, even during construction.
Paul's Machine has served the grain industry for over 40 years. Area farmers need systems to operate at peak efficiency. To get your season startup assistance now, with remote and on-site diagnostics and troubleshooting, pre-season preventive maintenance services on dryers, along with sales, installations, repairs, and upgrades, reach out to Paul's Machine. We build solutions. Stay on top of your grain game. Click on Grain in the Capabilities tab at paulsmachine.com.
Hi, Ellen Hook here, owner of your local Ashley. I have a big announcement. The Champaign Ashley store is getting a fresh new look, and you're invited to the remodel sale. Right now, save up to 65% off furniture and accessories throughout the store, with hundreds of items in stock and ready to take home today. But that's not all. Join us outside under the carport every weekend in September and October for extra savings on select furniture. It's all happening at your local Ashley in Champaign at 602 West Anthony Drive. Hurry into Ashley because these deals won't last long.
Fighting Illini football is back in Champaign as they take on the Purdue Boilermakers in Memorial Stadium Saturday, October 12th. To celebrate Food and Ag Day, there will be a special petting zoo inside Grange Grove. It's also Youth Sports Day. Get tickets that include a special Fighting Illini youth jersey for all young athletes. These special ticket offers are limited, so get your tickets now for Illinois versus Purdue, Saturday, October 12th at fightingillini.com.
Are you tired of shivering in the winter? Look no further than your local heroes at ABC Heating and Air Conditioning. Hi, this is Gina inviting you to give us a call at 217-352-5400 to book your appointment to make sure your furnaces run safely and efficiently this winter. We've been proudly locally owned and operated and have been serving our community for over 50 years. ABC, always be comfortable. Call me 217-352-5400 to book your appointment today or go to abcheatingandac.com.
From computer systems to brakes and tires too, at PDR, fixing cars is what they do. Remember, when you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481 or use their dedicated text-only line at 383-0619. Additional information including repair quotes and online scheduling requests available from the website at pdrauto.com. Remember, they are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
Calling all U of I students. You live here, you count here. The city of Urbana has a special census being conducted in blue zones. Those in the special census zone, watch for a postcard with your 12-digit code. If you'd like to see the map, visit urbanaillinois.us/take census. Watch for a special census postcard sent with your 12-digit code that is unique to you specifically. Do your part. Take the special census on campus with the city of Urbana.
Back on the Drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. It is a Jay Lehman Hour. Let's get to the text line, the Max Twin City Recycling text line, for some thoughts and questions for Jay. Bill from Troy is fired up about running the ball inside. He believes that handing the ball off to a running back that isn't moving is something stupid.
He's yelling at us today.
Yeah, he's emphasizing the point. We've talked about this in prior shows, Jay, the idea of getting Fagan downhill out of a single back, I-form, more traditional downhill running.
I would love to see it. I want to see that as a tweak that they actually do this. Same with Josh McCray. Why run him out of the shotgun? At least run him out of the pistol. I'd love to see with Luke under center in a traditional 7 yards deep, handing the football off.
Yeah.
I want to see that. He's going
said-
to help those guys.
He says, Curious Jay saw anything new from Michigan and Rutgers in their losses last weekend.
New? First of all, I didn't watch Rutgers that much, so I can't really say I watched it. I did watch a little bit of the Michigan game. I wouldn't say there's anything new. They've got a really good Chris Jenkins and Mason Grimm are really good up front, defensive tackle-wise. But that's Will Johnson's a good corner. Other than that, those guys are NFL players. Other than that, offensively, they are not the offensive line that won the Joe Moore Award, best offensive line 2 of the last 3 years. They are not that team. Donovan Edwards isn't as good as he was as a sophomore, and they don't have a Blake Corum out there. So I think Michigan is a toss-up with Illinois, especially at that game, the dedication game.
Benny says, let's show Coach Walters that he took the wrong job. The cannon belongs to the Illini.
I think somebody already showed him he might have taken the wrong job. I was listening to a podcast, Boilermaker podcast today.
His bank account agrees with the job he took.
Well, what was he getting paid? 3.5 or 4? He's on the lower end, but $4 million or something like that, right?
What was he? He was making $1 million here, right?
He's making $1 million here, yeah.
So I'll take 3 extra.
I mean, a lot of guys are calling for his job already.
Yeah.
And this is year 2. I think that's the hard part. If it was year 1, you'd be all right. This is just what's really hard is they won the Big Ten West the year before with Jeff Brom. Usually, you don't take a Purdue job or an Illinois job, with that.
That's a good point. Riding high, in other words.
Yeah, I mean, the last person to do that at Illinois was what? Tepper?
Tepper.
Yeah, and he kind of rode the coattails of.
A little bit.
I'll make an argument though. I think Makovic came to a full cupboard with Mike White's guys.
Yeah.
And he really won with Mike White's guys. And then they kind of recruit off that success. They got Simeon, they got Dana, they had John Hollisack, had the defensive guys. But I think it kind of petered out by when I was 10, 95, 96, we started kind of I remember the 5-5 game against Wisconsin. We played Wisconsin last game of the year, and we tied.
I remember that.
It was 5-5 and 1, and I think we tied 3-3 or something.
It was 3-3.
And I was just like, wow, this is college football. I should have known right then, 29 years ago. I love it when I just pull out some random Illinois memory.
3-3, and I remember it.
Do you remember that?
Oh,
you were probably there filming it.
I think I was.
Hey, filming it and talking to Coach Tepper.
I think it was colder than hell too that day.
Oh yeah, we looked cold. You still stood for special teams though, even though you're around at Camp Randall, but because that's what Tepper wanted you to do. You stood for special teams. But here's what it really got. When it really got bad. It really got bad once Dana and Kevin Hardy and Simeon were gone because you were kind of watching those mid-'90s teams for those guys.
Right.
That 1996 team, I mean, who do you really think about?
I don't.
Maybe Dennis Stallings, maybe.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, who do you really say?
I don't even – nobody.
Jason Dulick?
Oh, gosh. No, nobody comes to mind.
I mean, Robert Holcomb was gone by then, I think, or was he still there? Maybe
I don't know.
He was there.
I don't know.
Ty Dother was gone.
Yeah.
You think about those, that just seems like the dark era, right? 96 and 97. It seems like if we could erase a time.
I did, obviously.
We don't know if he blacked out or if he, from
blocked it out. Blacked out or blocked out.
Blocked or blacked.
That would have been more of the blackout days for me. Yeah. Now I block them out.
Yeah, he was a WA&D. Like, another great game. Wait, he covered every game in 96, 97.
I know.
And he can't even remember.
I don't.
Wow.
Well, Ron Rector covered a lot of the football.
Ron Rector.
I would be shooting Millikan or Eastern highlights or Illinois State. He'd get the big assignment.
Yeah.
And then once in a while he'd allow me to come, like the Michigan night games. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. This is a dumb question, but I want to get out of the way. So you play 11 a.m. games, you play 2:30 games, you play at night. Does it matter to the players? Did it matter to you guys what time you played?
Sure.
Is there an advantage and a disadvantage to every time? Or is there one where you feel like that was perfect? Like 2:30 is perfect because you can sleep in a little, get all your work in. Almost like 11 a.m., you're just like rushed from the get-go. And the night, it's just like we've been waiting around all day for this thing to get started.
Yeah, so I think a player and coach will we say 11 a.m., let's get it done. We're nervous.
Okay.
We don't want to wait. There's job to be done. You can't really do anything before a game because you're trying to get ready for the game and not jack around and do all these things. I think 6 o'clock is best for the fans.
Oh, yeah.
They love it, right?
Yes.
I think 2:30 is a good happy medium because you have a little bit of tailgate time.
Yep.
And then you have some time afterwards.
That's good for the old fans.
Right.
Like me.
The 1 o'clock used to be the standard
Yeah,
days, right?
yeah.
I mean, when you weren't on TV and WCIA, did the game or something like that. That was the 1 o'clock, right? That was kind of all right, we're going to start at 1 o'clock. No TV, blah, blah, blah. And so I think 11 o'clock is what players and coaches prefer, most of them.
Makes sense.
I think the fans like the nighttime stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have, but people don't realize there's just not a lot of free time for a college coach or college player. So you can get out by 3 o'clock and have a good game and win. And you have a half a Saturday. You're like, this is life. Man.
I'm with you.
Yep. Now, if you win, it's even better. And I don't have too many games like we won at 11. So, we tried.
Your mom's like, I'm not coming to your apartment.
No,
but
I ain't cleaning that place. She came one time and then hired a cleaner to clean it for you. It was so bad. She thought I was going to get sick. It was so bad. Pet squirrels, eggshells everywhere, raw meat.
Your poor mom.
It was bad.
The dog that was...
Yeah, Oski Bow Wow. Yeah, I told you about Mike Ware had Oski Bow Wow.
Boy,
and
his
we
poops.
said, we got a room. He's got to clean up 200 poops and it's yours. It's all yours. You got it.
Oh, man.
What changes from the player standpoint when you go from they've been in this underdog role at Penn State, at Nebraska, even Kansas at home, they were a slight underdog, to now being favored, as we discussed in the first segment, by a line that's pretty unprecedented at Illinois in a Big Ten game?
I think it's a sign of maturity, right? You're taking a step as a program. You're actually favored. People actually believe in you. So show them that they should believe in you. I don't know. I think 19 points, that seems really strong for this game being kind of a quasi-rivalry game. We don't necessarily have a true football rival. It feels like we don't. I see us winning by like 14 points, but taking care of business. I see it being in doubt in the third quarter, but then kind of us pulling away. But I think it's a sign of maturity of, can you take care of business when you should take care of business and do what you're supposed to? You're a better football team. On tape, it's pretty obvious. We're a better football team. I just hope we play like it.
Lon said this recently, that this game, the storyline shouldn't matter. This one should feel personal for Coach Bielema. And you would imagine that practice would be like that leading up. They wouldn't be allowed to get to feel satisfied or to look at a point spread or look at how bad Purdue is. He's got to want to beat Ryan Walters so bad after last year. What's your take on that? And I'm curious, were there any games during your playing career with either Ron Turner or Ron Zook that felt personal based on circumstances or previous year or anything like that? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, here's the deal. I guys, when you get beat as bad as I got beat, every game I got something for. I think Penn State was personal when we got beat that bad at home on national TV, and we almost beat them the next year in 2006 at Penn State. They came back on us in the second half. We were up like 12-3 at halftime, and then, I would say Ohio State beat us 40-2 in 2005. That felt bad, right? Mm-hmm. So all that stuff was like, we wanted to win those games.
You were up on Wisconsin the previous year in 06.
2006.
And then you got them in 07.
Got them in 07. We had a lot of people we got,
2007 was all personal.
Yeah, right. Iowa was really personal. We lost that 10-6. That still bothers me. We lost that game 10-6. Iowa was still winning games 10-6.
Right.
Some things never
Nothing
changed.
has changed, right?
Nothing's changed.
Years.
But I think it's personal between the coaches. I mean, more so last year than this year. I think that kind of fades. They're friends with these guys. They obviously want Ryan Walters to be successful, just not this week, or Kevin Kane or Corey Patterson to all be successful. But I do feel like, number one, they got beat last year pretty handily. Number two, there was a tweet, I don't know if you remember this, where Ryan Walters was like, my DBs get drafted.
Yep.
About the Illinois DBs.
Yep.
And Brett responded.
Ryan seemed to make it a lot more personal.
And Brett responded, our DBs get drafted. These are Illini, da-da-da-da-da. And there was kind of some words there over Twitter. And I don't think Brett took very kindly to that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say. That's the fodder I can give
And
you.
I'm not saying it's like in a nasty way, but Brett's got to want that. Number one, for his program. Number two, it's not good to have the guy that's under you, working for you, then go and beat you twice in 100%. A rivalry game, which used to be the Big Ten West. I don't blame Ryan Walters for trying to go guns a-blazing when he started there in West Lafayette. You kind of got to puff your chest out. You got to claim that 2022 Illini defense as much as you can.
Sure.
Obviously,
that's your thing.
It's not working out for him right now, just in general, where his
he
tenure's at.
He said he was the best defensive coordinator in the country. So the numbers back that up. When he took the thing, when he took the in the press conference, he said the numbers better, and it did in 2022.
It did.
Now, in hindsight, there was 5 NFL players on that team, roughly, and 3 NFL DBs, and Johnny Newton, a Big Ten Player of the Year, and I guess Keith's not playing, but there's Gabe Akis is a guy that was on that team. There were some different players, so I guess it wasn't wrong, but it certainly hasn't been the result in the first 2 years in West Lafayette.
Without those players on defense, admittedly, I have not watched Purdue, especially not for an extended period of time here up to this point. Are they still playing the same style of defense, like a lot of one-on-one aggressive, or has it changed based on personnel?
It is a lot of one-on-one. They got a big corner, Terrion Grant. I believe they beat out Tennessee for him, and he was a 4 or 5 star guy, and he's starting. And kind of the long, lengthy corner that Walters likes. You'll see Dylan Thieneman kind of runs the same position as Kendall Smith or Kirby Joseph. Has a lot of picks, a lot of production. He was all Big Ten and a freshman All-American last year. You'll see, I can't remember who the strong safety is, but you'll know who he is. Antonio something, he comes down into the box just like Matthew Bailey or Sidney Brown. So you'll see it. You'll see the bear front, which is the 5-man front. So you'll see a lot of different things. They have tried. They tried to run some more zone against Wisconsin. My gosh, there was guys wide open. They would basically cover for 2 or 3 seconds, and Wisconsin would find a soft spot, and nobody tackled these guys once they caught the ball. I mean, we have there's like on college football trolls or whatever. It's like shows like this guy taking an angle from Purdue, like running with his back to the ball, and the ball's like going right by him. He didn't even see the ball, so it's bad ball.
Wow.
So they're just not playing good fundamentally. They're not playing good in any way, sort of. And he just said, "Hey, we're a bad team." In his press conference, like we're bad.
And you got them at home. Just go do it. Just go take care of business.
Go get it. When's the last time we could just take a breath in a Big Ten game and just say, we got these guys.
Amen.
These guys are a bunch of chumps.
Man, it's been a month since we've been out there tailgating, too.
Has it been that long?
Everybody's ready, man.
Since the CMU game?
It's like, well, there were 2 away games, then a bye week. So
it's
then
supposed
when
to be
this one rolls,
4 weeks.
4 weeks.
And that flew by.
It did. It really
It's
did.
been 2 weeks since we had you in the Jay Lehman Hour.
I can
'Cause
remember.
You were gone last week. So.
Right, exactly. Thank you. I remember sitting here thinking, just get me to 5-1 before Michigan. Just get me to 5-1. And they're going to do that.
If they get to 10-2, we are taking everybody a Long Branch.
Yes, we are.
$1,000 for the first people that come there. Lon's got $500. I've got $500. We'll throw in Derek for free. And
I'll do something.
And we're gonna have a party at the Long
You get
Branch.
the tip.
Yeah, sure.
No, I can't wait. I'm in for that.
If we're 5-1, we've got to be ecstatic about
Heck
it, guys.
yes.
I mean, not many times in the last 50 years we've been 5-1.
No.
So we'll take it. I do believe that we should win, and I do believe it's a toss-up versus Michigan.
I do too. You were wanting to, when we got here, talk about all the crazy upsets. I think you said there were 4 ranked teams upset by unranked teams.
4 top 11 teams upset by ranked.
Wow.
teams.
Have you ever seen a weekend like what?
I don't think I've seen it. It's been the first time there's ever been 2 SEC teams that are top 5 knocked out in the same week by an unranked team.
And Mizzou just got blasted.
Oh, they got shellacked.
They did.
Right? Eli Drinkowitz needs a drink. I know that. My gosh.
I didn't know I would live in a world where Vanderbilt would beat Alabama. I'm just being honest.
Not.
Well, according to Paul Feinbaum, that wouldn't have happened with Nick Saban. Here's the thing: Alabama doesn't have the defense that they had under Saban.
Right.
I mean, Kane Womack might be a good guy. He was the South Alabama head coach, and then you have him as your D corner. You can go get anybody you want as a D corner. Are we sure that Kane Womack was the guy? They gave him 64 points the last 6 quarters.
Gee, money.
Okay.
Woo.
Kalen DeBoer's got some issues. I mean, they were snapping the ball 20, 25 seconds to go against Georgia up 25. I'm like, dude, milk some clock, right? I don't care what you're doing. So they lost. We had Tennessee get beat by Arkansas.
Wow.
They just let Arkansas hang around. And yeah, Minnesota beat USC.
You're right.
I don't think USC's that good.
I don't either.
I don't really. Everybody thought they were going to.
Well, Michigan beat them, and then
Michigan barely beat with that run that just was like miraculous near the end. And then the last one was Washington. Washington beat Michigan.
Yep.
So you had some upsets all over the place. It just shows you anybody can beat anybody when you get these level of athletes or somebody doesn't show up to play.
Right.
And it happened. That's what makes college football so good.
Do you like the fact that now, I was thinking about this over the weekend, it used to be that 1, especially 2 losses could end your season. Like, Not saying that Alabama couldn't afford a loss to Vandy if they still won the SEC title game, would find their way into a playoff or even pre-playoff. You had to be one of the top 2 teams. But now with the expanded 12-teamer, you can have a team go down a few times and still be able to make it. Do you like that new reality? It's all baked into the equation now to get more teams in. Not saying that I preferred the other way, but it was kind of fun at times, especially if you're rooting against, say, Notre Dame and they lose whoever they've lost to. When they lost to Northern Illinois, that might have been all right, well, no, we won't see Notre Dame in the championship game.
Probably wouldn't see them in the playoff.
Yeah.
You never wouldn't see them in the championship game. Bob Stoops made the argument that college football had the most special regular season it ever seen because every game mattered.
Yeah.
So he was opposed to the system that they came out with the playoff, maybe because he had made like 5 straight BCS championships and lost 4 of them. Maybe. And so does it take a little bit away from that? Yeah, but man, I don't think we've seen the energy of what like a home field playoff game would look like.
Oh yeah. You're right.
There's going to be a lot of energy.
Fun.
There's going to be a lot of different things. I think a lot of people with the bowl games before even the BCS, it was like, for a while there, people were fine with, the polls say these guys are number 1, so these guys are number 1. That's how it was for 50, 60 years, right?
Right.
And then the whole Nebraska-Michigan splitting the championship between the AP and then this, and then they had to keep changing. The UPI, right? They had to keep changing all these different things. And so now you have this. It does give a chance to a team like Illinois. I think Illinois is 10-2. They have like the 15, 20th ranked schedule in the country. I think they're in. I think there's 4 Big Ten teams in. I think there's 4 or 5 SEC teams that get in. You have a Big 12 team get in. You have an ACC team get in, and you have a Group of 5 team get in. If Illinois is 10-2, and you have Oregon and Penn State and Ohio State ahead of them, they've played 2 of the 3.
Right.
And you
Penn State's top 5 now.
Yep. And so you're like, okay, I can see who else is going to be in that conversation. If you beat Michigan, they'll probably have 3 losses, so they're out. Mm-hmm. Maybe Iowa, who's lost to Iowa State and lost to Ohio State. So are they going to have some much better win than you had?
Indiana
could be 10-2, but their schedule's a lot softer than ours.
Oh, big time.
A lot softer. So I'm just saying, if Illinois finishes 10-2, which I know we're getting way over 100, so guys, focus on Purdue.
I know.
I think we're in the playoff. I really do.
We would need Michigan to beat Indiana.
I love that Big Def says,
right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think Big Def says right here, hey, I'm coming to Gifford if you guys are 10-2.
Let's go from Philly.
And Steve says I'm bellying up to the bar.
I like that.
We'll have to make some. We'll have to figure out how we're doing this alcohol stuff. Maybe Pipes can handle the alcohol.
I knew you were going.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Exactly.
That'd be cheap.
I'd rather handle the snakes.
Yeah. Jay, you would like this. We used for a segment last week. Would you say you found like the magic genie of sports, college sports, and he said, "Oh, this one's not just granting a wish. He wants something back." He's going to say, "I'll give you a Illinois football playoff berth, but in exchange, I'm taking away what would be an NCAA tournament appearance for Brad and company this year." Would you trade an NCAA tournament? Say, all right, we'll go to the NIT this year, or we won't go to the tournament, period, but we get a playoff game for football. Lon said in a heartbeat, especially if it was hosting a playoff game.
Yes.
100% a playoff game. Not to go to the tournament. We didn't go to the tournament for years, like 15 years, and we're still alive.
You're asking Jay
right?
I
know. I wasn't asking him.
That would have been a bigger upset than Alabama.
I thought you were going to say.
I wasn't going to ask you.
I thought you were going to say, would you say Final Four or playoff?
Oh,
that's more.
Final Four.
Yeah, you got to do Final Four there. Yeah. Sorry.
I'm speechless.
Kyle, what are you doing?
The playoff is almost equal to a Final Four.
I know, but that's
when you look at the amount of basketball teams there are and the amount of football teams there are. It's
close. It'd be like an Elite Eight.
I mean, Rose Bowl was like going to the Final Four.
Yes, there's no doubt.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
So I can't really. We just went to the Elite Eight.
You shouldn't be surprised by me at all.
You're like the chief beat writer for 247 of the basketball.
Yeah,
right?
Let me tell you, two will never agree on this. I can promise.
No, I wasn't asking.
I can't believe that we would actually say an NCAA no berth in an NCAA tournament. Just have an 18-win season.
Oh, it was easy for me. That's easy. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, you would say give me a playoff, right? Yes.
You could finish last in the Big Ten in basketball if you get a playoff berth.
Yeah, we could.
I mean,
we could do a lot of
seriously,
different things.
and
Wouldn't
I
be
love
a fun year for me, but yeah,
Well, right,
I get
you
it.
would.
I get it. And I'm not saying you should root for me having fun.
I can see Brad running into me in the tailgate line now and
boy.
going, "Hey, you're the idiot, right, Lon? Right? Yeah, you're the one.
You
that
sent us the CBI.
I mean, we did have media day last week, right? We got some big intel, right? We're rated 4th or something in the league.
Yep.
And we got 2 one-and-done players in Riley and tell me how to say
Yakachonis.
How about this? College football playoff and a Final Four. Would that go down as the best Illinois season ever?
That was like when Florida won like back-to-back national championships in basketball and won a football championship.
What was it? Was it 80? When did Illinois? Come on, Lon. When did they go to the Rose Bowl? 84, right? So was it 83 when Illinois basketball and football beat every Big Ten team?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's
which was a special.
Was never done before.
Right.
And never done since.
But if you could pull off a college football playoff, especially hosting a game, and then your basketball program go to the Final Four, that would have to be equally the best season of those two sports ever, right?
Oh, I would say so.
I mean, that would be incredible.
I mean, back in 1924, we won the national championship.
Except when we were dominating back then.
But we were the champions of the West. I don't know who Michigan was, but
right.
We are really pipe dreaming today. I mean, this is pipe. That's the segment right there, pipe dreaming.
That's what you do during bye week. You have segments like that.
I would say now, if you wanted to use the same school year, it'd be the 2001 Sugar Bowl appearance with then Illinois basketball going to the Sweet 16. That was Bill Self. 01-02. The 2001 NCAA tournament, same calendar year, Elite Eight against Arizona, and then Sugar Bowl.
That's a pretty stinking
LSU.
good run.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty good 12
Sugar Bowl, that would have been top 12, obviously.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, they were 10-1 in the regular season.
How many times would we have been top 12? You're 07.
Yeah, but we were only 9, so we were like 13th. So
okay, so you're
right
on
the edge. But I think we would have made it because we had beaten the number 1 team. The way it was, we would have because our strength of schedule. We played Missouri, who had 10 wins. We played Wisconsin.
You would have been in.
We would have been in. We played Penn State. We played Penn State. We played all these guys.
Yep.
So I think we would have been in.
The Sugar Bowl team would have. The Rose Bowl in '83 would have.
Yep. The 1990 team would have been there probably. Right? They were 10-2, I think. All I know is this: the 80s.
So it's doable.
The 80s belonged to the Illini.
Yes.
We had to do a whole decade. That's just a whole year. The 80s belonged to the Illini, guys. That's what they say.
1989, they went to the Citrus Bowl and won. Their final AP standing was 10th.
Okay.
Wow. Is that when they beat Florida with Emmett?
Look that up. 1 second.
They beat Virginia at the Citrus Bowl.
Virginia,
Thomas
31-21.
Thomas Jones. Right?
No, Thomas Jones was MicronPC.com Bowl.
That's right.
They won like 63.
Oh, no. You know who?
Kirk Kittner threw the football into the stands.
Yes. No, I remember that. Was it Herman Moore that played for Virginia back then? I don't know. I went back and looked throughout. Like we played Emmett, I think. Was it Emmett?
Was at Florida.
Didn't we play Florida one year?
Did we?
I think we did.
I was like 3, so you got to help me here.
We played against.
We
Herman
played
Moore.
Clemson one time. We got beat bad.
Yeah, maybe that was Herman Moore, Clemson. It doesn't matter.
Maybe RG3, Robert Griffin.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
RG3 supposedly was getting recruited up by Illinois too. Almost got him to come here.
So was Donovan McNabb, but we wanted him as a receiver.
So was Tom Brady.
I thought.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady was
being recruited by Illinois.
I know that Jay Cutler was being recruited, and so was Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, yeah.
All those.
Brady said it on one of his. We played that over the summer, didn't we? He was doing this talk, and he's like,
that's right.
A couple of schools recruited me, Michigan, Illinois. Michigan was the only one that came out and saw me.
You know
what? So then I went to Michigan.
You're right.
And the funny thing is
the fact that we could add Brady and Rodgers.
Well, and I know that he had, that would have been crazy. He had Bay Area contacts. Ron Turner, because he was from Pacific, kind of where he went to school, and he coached at USC. He had Bay Area contacts. Brady would have done great in Ron Turner's system. Wow, shoot, we would love that.
How sweet.
Would love that, guys. You know what? Also, I love our sponsor, Cefcu. CEFCU.com. Cefcu, not a bank, better. Auto, home, business loans, all together. They are great. They're moving into town, guys. They are new. They're from the Peoria area, but they are coming in to Champaign. They moved last year, and they're getting a building this year. Also, A&R Mechanical. A&R AMR-MECH. Let me read a little bit about AMR Mechanical. In 1925, Bud and B. Reichard founded a small plumbing business in Urbana. Nearly 100 years later, AMR Mechanical is still thriving. We're talking about iconic structures they help sustain and create, like the State Farm Center, Memorial Stadium expansion, the Ubben Basketball Complex, the Smith Football Performance Center, baseball, softball, and the Immersion Indoor Golf Facility. Their impact on Champaign-Urbana is legendary. For nearly a century, A&R Mechanical has been a cornerstone of our community. Guys, A&R Mechanical, design, build, maintain. Dick Van Dyke Appliance World, home of the free 10-year protection plan, and Long Branch Steakhouse. Guys, the week after the Northwestern game, if we have got 10 wins, we got Big Def coming to town from Philly.
Oh.
We've got me and Lon footing the bill.
Let's go.
For the first people that spend $1,000 and first $1,000, not first 1,000 people. It won't get in
let's
there.
make sure we get that figured out.
But hey, get the word out, guys. 10 wins. Meet us at Long Branch. Let's go.
That would be incredible.
Illinois played Florida in the All-American Bowl back in 1988. That would have been Emmitt Smith.
Emmitt Smith.
Yep.
Thank you.
Did they win?
Florida won 14-10.
Close. I think we're like 3 games below 500 in bowl games. But we're 3-2 in Rose Bowls.
Michigan's like 10 games below. Bo Schembechler had a horrible bowl game record.
I agree. Jay, great stuff, as always.
Always fun, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Jay.
That's so fun.
We'll be back to hear from Brett Bielema at some point. He met with the media today and talk more about Illinois and Purdue. If you want to weigh in, you can. 217-359-2255. It is The Drive.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Flooring Surfaces has a brand new showroom. You'll see beautiful products displayed in new and exciting ways, with inspiration around every corner. Enjoy a modern floor covering experience in a space designed to showcase what Flooring Surfaces does best. Premium flooring options, free design assistance, free expert advice, and professional installation services. Now in a showroom that's easy to shop. Visit today at 401 Mercury Drive in Champaign.
Flooring Surfaces, your first stop.
At Rocket, we're looking to truly understand how to better help first-time home buyers. So we invited some to dinner to talk about their concerns of buying a home.
When you don't understand the process, you don't know what steps to take. I need someone to hold my hand and need a friend.
Money is just scary to begin with.
There's so many question marks.
I wish there was like a home ownership coach out there, like a life coach.
Things got real. That's when an expert from Rocket stepped in.
My name's Austin. I'm an executive at Rocket.
What?
This has been an amazing conversation. We're doing a lot, but we can do more just listening to you today.
It's just nice to know that somebody out there is making an effort for us. Cheers.
Cheers.
We know buying a home is scary. Get personalized guidance at every step of the home buying process. Call 800-4ROCKET.
Rocket Mortgage LLC, NMLS number 3030, NMLSConsumerAccess.org, Equal Housing Lender, licensed in all 50 states.
At Carpet Weavers Flooring and Furniture Gallery, we're flooring people with amazing service, great design advice, and unbeatable selection and the best prices in town. It's the perfect time to update your home with waterproof flooring, carpet, hardwood, tile, and more. Then complete your rooms by shopping our incredible selection of furniture and accessories. We also offer great financing options. Carpet Weavers Flooring and Furniture Gallery, we're flooring people.
Sticky nights and stuffy rooms making it hard to enjoy your home during the summertime? Call Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing to make sure your air conditioning is working at its peak performance. Tune up your AC by joining the maintenance program and get all the perks it has to offer. Call Dogtown to come out for a no-cost quote to upgrade your system today with a Lennox high-efficiency system that will be sure to save you money on your energy bills and let you relax comfortably. Call 217-841-4728 or visit dogtownheatingandair.com. Dogtown Heating, Air, and Plumbing, your home's best friend.
Calling all U of I students. You live here, you count here. The city of Urbana has a special census being conducted in blue zones. Those in the special census zone, watch for a postcard with your 12-digit code. If you'd like to see the map, visit urbanaillinois.us/take census. Watch for a special census postcard sent with your 12-digit code that is unique to you specifically. Do your part. Take the special census on campus with the City of Urbana.
Attention drivers. When it comes to your car, trust matters. That's why savvy drivers choose PDR Automotive for top-notch service and unbeatable quality. From routine maintenance to complex repairs, their team of expert technicians has the skill and experience to keep your vehicle running smoothly. At PDR Automotive, customer satisfaction is their priority, and they won't rest until your car is back on the road performing at its best. Visit PDR Automotive in Urbana today, family owned and operated for more than 50 years. They're what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
Find the look you love for less at Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola. Explore their wide selection of quality pieces, from cozy sofas to exquisite dining sets from all the top name brands. With personalized service and expert advice, their team makes finding the perfect piece effortless. Create the home of your dreams with Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola. Exceptional customer service and the best prices since 1959. Stop by today or visit them online at kelseyfurniture.com.
Tim Onstott, Gale Ferrex Trucking, Dedicated Diesel. How is everything at Dedicated Diesel and Dixie Chopper?
Well, Dedicated Diesel is going great guns. A couple weeks ago, Donna put in an order for some new machines. We got some great fall deals. We've sold most of the inventory, so we got in a new shipment. We've got new Classics, Blackhawks, Excaliburs, Eagles, Z2, and the new Falcon. That is a nice mower.
So when people try it and get on it, I bet the higher percentage buys them, probably feeling the handling and everything?
Yeah, it's hard to go back to something else once you've driven a Dixie Chopper. And that Falcon seat is the most comfortable mower seat I've ever been on. It is incredible. The Falcon, we've got a great deal on that for $7,000. The introductory price is $9,000 on it, and we're going to get rid of them as fast as we can. Well, that's a 60-inch deck on that Falcon, so you can do residential, commercial, cut a lot of lawn with that.
You've set your financial goals. One kid plans to go Big Ten, the other Ivy. Your bucket list includes seaside sunrises and sunsets on the slopes, or perhaps a second home away from it all. Busey Bank can help develop the right investment strategy to take charge of the years ahead. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Tyler Weaver, president of Carpet Weavers Flooring and Furniture Gallery. It's time to come home to Carpet Weavers. We don't want you to just like your new floors. We want you to love them. From waterproof floors and carpet to furnitures and design advice, we've got a team of experts on your side. We'll get you the best price and the best quality products. And complete your home with furniture and accessories. Buy it all with free financing too. Come home to Carpet Weavers, where floors, furniture, and family meet.
You have money laying all around your house. You just don't know it. And no, I don't mean selling your great-grandma's good china. I mean all the old metal items you don't want to use or get rid of. Don't pay someone to haul it away. Bring it into Max Twin City Recycling and get paid to have it taken off your hands. They love new customers and are more than willing to walk you through their process step by step. Come check them out at 2808 North Lincoln Avenue in Urbana.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
Airlig Plumbing Solutions. For your kitchen and bath remodels, sump pumps, maintenance plans, and even licensed backflow testing, Airlig has you covered. Your local plumbing contractors for industrial, commercial, and residential jobs can provide plumbing services, repairs, and installs with a quick turnaround by calling or texting 217-722-9499. Send an email with your plumbing issue and contact information to info@airligplumbing.com.
It is The Drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Great stuff from Jay Lehman, as I say every time, but it's always true, awesome. So I'm going to keep saying it.
It's great. Jack Flaherty is going to join us this hour.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Finger on the dump button, Kyle. He's still tossing you-know-whats and you-know-whats at people.
Jay has the entertainment value, right? I mean, that is hands down, without even – that is number one. But – he really can break down stuff to make you understand what you're looking at, what that player is looking at. That's the most fun I ever have is talking to Jay about stuff like that. Sean Harrington does that in basketball. I love learning. You should always try to learn in life, and it's great that I followed sports my entire life, and yet today I learned me something from Jay. I mean, I love it.
Oh, and I always love and appreciate when he talks about the preparation that has to go into a game.
Yes.
For him to know all the different formations, all the most common plays they run out of different sets based on down and distance and all this stuff. It certainly adds a lot more complexity to, hey, see ball, tackle ball.
Right.
Which I think sometimes we're like, how did this not happen? Or, hey, it's a simple game. Like, no, it's definitely not.
He was saying, we were talking to him off the air, and he was saying that the safety would call the 12 personnel, let's say.
Yeah.
Safety makes that call. Another safety would say, hey, it's 3rd and 9. And then Jay then would take those two things, coach up the front onto what formation. So he would say, I could realistically narrow it down when I knew those two things, down and distance, time of the game, and formation. So those three things. He's like, I could nail it down to basically 3 or 4 plays that the other team was running. And if I saw one thing that would trigger one of those plays out, then I could nail it down to 3 plays. And you do all that in 22 seconds. You don't think you have to be smart to be, I mean, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, absolutely.
It's just,
that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Pretty cool for sure.
Because I'm one of those how do you not know where they're going there? I'm up in the horseshoe going, I see the tight end over there. I mean, it's not that simple.
That's pretty cool, though. Pretty cool for sure. Man, this Purdue game, what's interesting? I was just thinking of this myself. Like, Purdue's so bad from what we can tell, it's almost hard to fully break them down, which I know we're going to go through this week and learn more about them and what are some things Illinois is going to have to really do. Although it could be also one of those things where it's an internal type of week. Make sure we're executing, not having penalties, turnovers, things that will allow a bad football team to hang in the game. But things could really go off if they're not already off the rails for Ryan Walters. If they lose this game at Illinois by a predicted point spread that is very high, they then get a break next week. They have Oregon at home. Then they will actually get some kind of a break with Northwestern, and before then going to Ohio State and then hosting Penn State.
Are you serious? Did they just basically say, hey, Indiana, you're going to have the easiest schedule in the Big Ten. Hey, Purdue, you're going to have the toughest.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Wow. So they still have to play Oregon, Ohio State, and Penn State.
Yes.
So essentially 3 top 10 teams.
Yep. And a top 25 team
in Illinois.
And a top
25 in Illinois.
And then actually a top 20 team in Indiana. Indiana's 8 teams in the country.
Because they would finish with them.
They do.
They already played Notre Dame.
Wow. Does that save Ryan Walters, just the idea that they've played? That has to be the hardest schedule in the country.
I know Florida is supposed to be. There was a lot of conversation about how tough Florida's schedule is.
Okay.
They got Miami in the non-conference. They play UCF in the non-conference. They're going to have back-to-back weeks facing Georgia and then Texas.
Ooh.
They also play number 8 Tennessee. They play number 13 LSU. They play number 9 Ole Miss. They've already played number 15 Texas A&M.
Gee, money. Never mind.
They didn't get any favors either.
No.
But Purdue's pretty difficult.
Wow. Well, and they just don't look good against normal
Not even
teams.
close.
That's what we were all saying. Well, you were kind of doing some work. Kyle and I at the break were just like, you would have to play like your worst game you've played easily to lose to Purdue. That's how bad they are. I know they can run the football. That kid will run for some yards. I can't think of his name.
Maccabee.
Yeah, Maccabee. And Card is a decent quarterback, but they just must have 0 offensive line, 0 defensive line, 0 linebackers, 0 receivers. I mean,
Let me ask you guys the question I asked Jay, because you look on paper and you see nearly 250 yards per game given up on the ground by the Purdue defense. Where are you guys at with the idea of Illinois imposing its will with its running game? Have you given up on that? I'm not saying that this is a horrendous rushing offense. It's just quite a bit worse than we anticipated. They're underachieving so far. Can they get to or close to what we thought they'd be? Or is it kind of the new reality of, all right, they're going to be primarily a passing offense that hopefully can take some strides on the ground, but it's still going to be something that is not nearly the type of staple we expected?
I have multiple answers in a weird way.
Perfect.
I guarantee you, and I don't have anybody inside the program telling me these things.
Sure you don't.
I guarantee you. No, I truly don't. I guarantee you they did not go this week without working on improving the running game. And that means figuring out what we're doing on the interior of that offensive line, who gives you the best chance, which of those 5 or 6 guys that Jay listed gives you the best chance to run the football, coming up with maybe a couple of extra thoughts to how they can run the football, especially up the middle, better. So with that in mind, I don't think Brett Bielema's given up on it. And I think in his mind, he would probably always tell you if you can't run the football, you're not going to win games. So against Purdue, I think that Illinois will try to impose their will on the ground, and it would be a good time to get your motivation up, right? To get your confidence up to the idea that, well, look, I know Purdue's terrible, but we did still put up 240 against them. Man, I remember years ago for Illinois when we had like 6 guys run for 200 yards. 6 guys on other teams. 6 running backs ran for 200 against Illinois. Not just 200 you're giving up on the ground. 6 dudes did it, I think, and it was horrible. So in that regard, I think Brett hasn't given up on it. I think he will try to impose the will of the running game against Purdue. That said, in the macro thought, this is a passing team first. As much as Brett doesn't want to admit it, this is a team that can get the ball down the field throwing the football better than it can running the football. And unless something dramatically changes, which don't forget, last year about week 6 or 7, they made a couple of changes on that offensive line and things looked a lot better. I'm not saying that can happen this season, but so did I answer? I answered your questions in 3 different ways. I would be a good presidential election,
We'll accept
put me on the
those
ballot.
answers.
Put me on the ballot. I'm ready. Boy, I'd be terrible at fact check, wouldn't I? I mean, can you imagine me? They're like every I get 10
Actually.
I get 10 a day on a sports show. I can't imagine what it'd be like on the presidential side of things. All right, Kyle.
I agree with everything you said there. I feel like you're going to need to improve at running the football. Like what you did against Penn State is what could get you in trouble against a team like a Minnesota or Rutgers, some of those teams where you maybe should win those games. But to beat the Oregons and the Michigans, and the identity of this team is leaning on Luke Altmaier and those 2 receivers. So I think you need to lean into that when you have to. But I would, especially against a team like Purdue, like if you're not running the football well in this game, if you're not dominating at the line of scrimmage against what looks like a Purdue defensive front that has nothing, then I will be concerned, because I think your path gets a lot harder to have success. If there's no run game, if you're so one-dimensional, which they were against Penn State, I think that was their undoing.
Let me ask you this. Who have they run well against this year? Eastern,
I was looking back at the Central Michigan game just as you guys were giving those answers. They ran for about 4.7 yards per carry. Fagan, though, in that one, 10 carries for 25 yards.
I was going to say there was one weird portion to that.
Josh McCray, 8 for 54. Khalil Valentine, 5 for 53. So those guys had nice chunks on the ground, but Fagan in that one did not perform all that well, and I don't think he had a great Kansas game either, did he?
I don't think so. I was
16 carries for 40 yards.
Doesn't it just seem, I mean, you've been doing it your whole life. You run, right? Now.
I don't run.
Well, right.
Yeah.
I don't now, but, growing up, that's what you do, right? You just go out in the playground and you just run. You just take off and – so running is pretty basic, right? It's fundamental. But there again, it's not that easy, right? You've got to see holes. You've got to possibly break a tackle. You've got to do things that – but what I'm getting at is Fagan should never have 10 carries for 25 yards, ever. Like his
Especially
worst,
not against a MAC team.
right? His bad game should be 60 yards, and his good game should be 120. And then if he explodes one game, great. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like he has put himself in a spot where his whatever is 60 to 120, not 25. So that confuses me when all of a sudden he goes 10 for 25 against Central Michigan. That's weird.
It is, yeah. No, that's where you need the improvement of the offensive line up front. Even if they know you're going to run between the tackles, you still can carve out 4 or 5 yards a pop, given how bad Purdue has been on the ground. It is also on Caden Fagan to explode through the hole and not kind of tiptoe when he's getting up to the line, and making sure that you're creating situations where he's not having to maybe dance a little bit and can run straight north and south and put his head down and get those hard yards, which is really what we have come to expect out of him. So his stat line against Penn State, on the flip side, 13 for 64, about 5 yards a pop. You take that average. You just wanted more workload. And that's a tough Penn State defensive front to have to go against. And he was pretty decent on the whole, probably better than that against Nebraska, 12 carries for 69 yards. So hopefully that on his front in particular is leaning towards improvement, but I still am skeptical. I think the ceiling for me, obviously, and this isn't going to sound crazy, like the ceiling for me with this team's running game is a decent amount lower than I would have thought, because of I don't think that Kreutz and Geske and Chrysler are all of a sudden going to be awesome together in the interior three. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think you're
right. But they've struggled.
Right. This is This isn't just a game or two. This is a sampling of games, and you see where they're at. Doesn't that make Chase Brown? Now, that offensive line was better.
Yes.
But, boy, could Chase Brown just make – how many times did he make a cut at the line or whatever? I mean, man, that's why he's catching touchdowns in the NFL yesterday and playing in the highest league. And I'm not saying that Caden Fagan – I mean, he's a sophomore.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
He's a sophomore. And I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but he played against little Ocal guys growing up. And so he's adjusting to – bigger, stronger dudes. I think Caden Fagan, before it's said and done, is going to be one heck of a running back at Illinois and a guy that has a chance to play on Sundays. He's certainly built like it, and he has the speed for it. That run that he got to the outside, was that against Kansas maybe? There was a game where he got to the outside on a run, and he was so fast, and it's like, holy cow. So I think the future is very bright for him, but I just think the combination of this offensive line, especially interior, is not going to make for any great runs, or any big rushing games, unless it's against a Purdue or a Northwestern.
No, I certainly agree with that.
So that worries me against Oregon. That worries me a lot against Michigan. I mean, if there's one thing Michigan is going to do in 2 weeks, is they're going to bring defense. We know that, right?
Yeah.
Their offense looks really bad. Donovan Edwards is good. Obviously, he's a running back, but
he hasn't even been as good as people thought this year, though.
That's true. But you're going to have to stop him. You're going to have to force them
Mullings
to throw.
is actually their number one running back now.
So you're going to have to stop that ground game against Michigan, but I'm looking ahead.
What do you guys think of, I'm going not a ton off topic here, but we mentioned earlier in the show that Ryan Walters is losing traction with that recruiting class. They had a 4-star defensive back in Dwayne Holloway decommit, and there's news on Twitter of him now set to visit Illinois this weekend for the Illinois-Purdue game.
Oh. I'm in for that.
You down for that?
Is he from Illinois?
I'd have to look.
Was he one of these guys that, like Walters, came into Illinois? And
he's from Ohio.
Ah, okay.
From Columbus, Ohio. And the 24/7 Sports article that was written by Alan True after he decommitted said, sources close to Galloway say Wisconsin, West Virginia, Penn State, Kentucky, and Illinois are 5 schools in the running for him.
Let's go.
He says he's open to any school. And then there was the Illinois Recruit to Illini. That Twitter account says 4-star cornerback Dwayne Holloway visiting Illinois on Saturday.
There's some straight coldness in you for doing it that way, right? like literally saying, "Hey, Purdue, I don't think I'm going to come to your school, but I am going to watch you.
We'll
next
come watch
week."
you play this Saturday.
On the other side. That is some straight cold right there. Wow.
Should Brett Bielema just invite all of their commits?
Well,
or any that he wants?
Uh-huh. Oh, my. Didn't Walters do something similar last year?
Someone weighed in on the text line.
Oh, that's right.
Earlier
That's right.
today and said, didn't Purdue invite a bunch of Illinois recruits last year?
Ugh.
Oh, and they beat them.
We need Purdue to be bad because we don't need to be attacked from the west with Iowa and attacked from the east with Purdue, right? Two schools that you hope to be
true
better than, although you got a few years to get ahead of Iowa, although I think you're better than Iowa. This is a bad year not to play Iowa. Although they'd figure out a way to make it a 9-7 game.
It's crazy that we would say this is a bad year not to play Iowa and it's a good year not to play Indiana.
Right.
Not that Illinois should be scared of Indiana. This is just a good football team.
That's a great point.
It'd be a tough game.
It would be. I mean, they're legit, right? They're pretty legit.
They haven't really played anybody yet, but I know they've won a couple of Big Ten games. They beat Maryland. They beat UCLA. Who did they just beat?
Beat Northwestern.
Oh,
so
yeah, never mind. They just.
I think
they've looked competent.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they've beaten teams pretty handily. That's the thing.
Right.
I do think a lot of teams would be 6-0 at that schedule, and a lot of average to maybe even below average teams could be 6-0 on that.
Not Purdue.
That's fair.
No.
I know what you're saying. I agree with you.
That's fair.
Curtis Rourke looks good, though. I mean, that was the guy that was one of the top players in the MAC 2 years ago, and now being healthy and in a good spot at Indiana. I give Cignetti credit, but he's still got – and the funny thing is he's still got a couple more games pushing forward where then they have still a favorable schedule until that back little swing.
Who do they play at the end? Michigan and all.
Michigan, Ohio State, and Purdue.
Oh, that's right. Okay. So they're going to be whatever in 2.
Potentially. They got Nebraska in there as well.
But that's at home.
I think they host Nebraska.
I mean, they have Washington, too, who actually looks pretty solid.
Okay. That would be weird to sit here and think that we need Michigan. We need to beat Michigan and have Michigan beat Indiana so that there's one common opponent that we can both
jump over them for. Yeah.
Like I know you're both playing Purdue. I know you're both playing Northwestern, all this. But if you would beat a common opponent like Michigan and then Michigan beat Indiana, then if it came down to it to get in the playoffs, at least you'd have that on your side. That'd be huge.
For sure. Marcus on the Max Twin City Recycling text line says, who was the DB Walter stole last year that we could re-recruit? I was thinking the same thing. I just looked it up. Luke Williams from Naperville North. 4-star safety, graded out as the number 22 overall safety in the 2024 class. So if he's a 24 class, he's currently at Purdue right now.
Okay.
And maybe he goes in the portal after this season.
Let's get him and the kid from Wisconsin, the Johnston City kid. Bring him home. Bring him home, Brett. I'm with you. Man, I'm just ready to get back out there. I'm ready to get back out to a tailgate. I'm ready to get back out to a game.
For sure.
I love the 2:30 starts the next 2 weeks. I love them. Those are great start times. Don't get me wrong. Night games are amazing, especially a huge game at night. Like if that Michigan game was at night, that would be as intense as I've ever been at Memorial. But a 2:30, man.
That's perfect. No one's missing 11 a.m.
No
kicks.
That's why I asked Jay that question. I didn't realize that, but it does make sense. If you got a job to do, you'd rather just get up and do it and then have some time off later in the day if you're a player or a coach.
That's fair.
And especially, these are college kids, right? They want to drink a beer maybe, or they want to hang out and play college football with a buddy or something. I mean, so to be able to be done with your job by 4 p.m. where you can kind of go live a normal college person's life, they should deserve. I mean, they deserve that stuff. So the 2:30
coming up next year, 7 a.m. games so the players can live their lives.
There'd probably be a few, like Tip Ryman probably up at 4. He'd probably love it. The 2:30 game I would think would be, I don't know. You're waiting, then you get done, and it's almost too late. I don't know. Yeah, you can still get a cold one in.
Plenty of time.
Yes. Yeah,
plenty
never
of
mind.
time.
Never
No
mind.
doubt. I would think. I mean, I haven't played
Right.
a college football game at 2:30.
But you and I, if we played.
I have drank plenty of beer in college at all kinds of times. So it can be done.
Let's do it.
Can be done. Speaking of getting done, a break coming up, and then we'll hear from Brett Bielema, who spoke to the media today, starting up game week for Purdue. You'll hear that next. It is The Drive.
As Tapman's Towing celebrates 50 years of serving Central Illinois, we're always seeking good people to serve our great customers. Our team of expert tow professionals would like to interview others with CDLs, previous tow experience, or a strong interest in serving others. If you enjoy serving people, love working in the outdoors, and looking for a career, not just a job, we should talk soon. Do you have a strong desire but lack the experience? We should still talk. Visit our career page at tapmanstowing.com.
In 1925, Bud and B. Reichert founded a small plumbing business in Urbana. Today, nearly 100 years later, A&R Mechanical is still thriving. A&R Mechanical believes in designing, building, and maintaining. And is one of the largest and most innovative contractors in the Midwest. Their team creates and sustains essential facility systems for several of the university athletic facilities, like the State Farm Center, the Memorial Stadium expansion, the Ubben Basketball Complex, the Smith Football Performance Center, along with the baseball, softball, and Immersion Indoor Golf Facility. Their impact on Champaign-Urbana is legendary. For nearly a century, A&R Mechanical has been a cornerstone of our community. I'm Jay Lehman, former Fighting Illini All-American linebacker. Congratulations to A&R Mechanical on nearly 100 years of dedication, innovation, and community spirit. Design, build, maintain. It's what they've done for nearly 100 years and what they'll continue to do for the next 100 years. A&R Mechanical, celebrating a century of excellence in service. Visit ar-mech.com for more details.
Since Busey Bank first opened our doors in 1868, we have built upon a tradition of close relationships and broad financial capabilities. Our experienced team provides the highest level of personalized service to ensure we accomplish your goals, simplifying your wealth management and business lending needs, and ensuring a legacy for generations. Building business, growing wealth since 1868. Proud to be the official bank of the Fighting Illini. Member FDIC.
Very happy and honored to have Dr. Abraham Cottrell, cardiac electrophysiology, OSF Heart of Mary in Urbana. What is AFib?
Yeah, so atrial fibrillation is a heart rhythm disorder, and it's actually the most common heart rhythm disorder that needs treatment. So about 6 million Americans have it currently, and it's expected to increase to about 15 million by 2050. So it's a growing problem. There are lots of things that lead to atrial fibrillation, and this includes diseases like diabetes and hypertension, sleep apnea. Other factors that lead to it are an excessive alcohol and tobacco use, being overweight or obese, and being sedentary. Generally it's an older person's disease. Generally, if you have other heart conditions, it's worth looking for, so that there's a condition called heart failure, which commonly is associated with atrial fibrillation. So hopefully, if you have one of those conditions, those patients are being seen by a cardiologist, and that cardiologist is paying attention to the heart rhythm and keeping an eye on things to look for the development of atrial fibrillation.
To learn more, visit osfhealthcare.org.
Fighting Illini football is back in Champaign as they take on the Purdue Boilermakers in Memorial Stadium Saturday, October 12th. To celebrate Food and Ag Day, there will be a special petting zoo inside Grange Grove. It's also Youth Sports Day. Get tickets that include a special Fighting Illini youth jersey for all young athletes. These special ticket offers are limited, so get your tickets now for Illinois versus Purdue, Saturday, October 12th at fightingillini.com.
So when was the last time you saw a best deal guarantee?
You mean a promise that actually held up?
Right.
That some unknown online entity didn't want you to log in and download a code and then re-verify as you join some club?
Drives you nuts, I know.
And then once you purchase that set of steak knives...
Well, Dick Van Dyke Appliance World is a lot simpler. You find a verified great deal and they beat it. Just show them the deal you saw. A newspaper clipping or the online cart price will do, and then you're good.
At Dick Van Dyke Appliance World, it's one of those instances where you see a best deal guarantee and...
you get the best deal.
This is Dennis Rieken, chairman of Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. Our exclusive 10-year protection plan comes free with most appliance purchases. Whether it's a GE, Whirlpool, Frigidaire, Bosch, or any of our 30 brands, I guarantee we will beat any competitor's deal. Wow!
Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
Hey, October is my birthday month. Busey, member FDIC. I'm kidding, Busey. It's also National Preparedness Month, and it's a month dedicated to the awareness and preparation for emergencies that can happen anywhere at any time. And boy, Florida and down south are experiencing that right now. Whether you're at risk for hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, wildfires, you got to be prepared and protected and be ready. You got to save money in an emergency savings account. I wonder how many of us actually do that. To open a new account, you can reach out to your local Busey branch or use the new online account opening option through Busey.com. That would be so easy. Just use the online account. Start a little bit of a savings account for emergencies. If you're unsure how much you can save, check out Busey's budgeting tool. It's called Money Manager. It's available through Busey's eBank. With more than 150 years of strength and service, Busey knows the importance of a lasting promise. Wherever the road of life takes you, Busey's with you every single step of the way. For more information about financial preparedness, visit Busey.com. Busey, member FDIC.
Quick MLB postseason update for you. It is 0-0, top of the sixth. Cleveland Guardians against the Detroit Tigers. Sounds like Tariq Skubal's been throwing a heck of a game, Kyle.
1 hit allowed through 5 strikeouts.
Gee,
that's pretty good. I'd take one of those in the Cardinals next year.
That'd be kind of neat, wouldn't it? And Detroit proved they've got more than him. In the first...
Can we afford one of those in a nice batting cage for the player development? I have to choose. Tough choices. We shall see.
Can you just see the Cardinals getting to Jupiter next spring, and they walk in, and there's like 6 new batting cages, and they're like, wow.
Fantastic.
This is great. Hey, look, we have shiny new batting practice baseballs. Yeah.
This little camera right here judges the spin rate on Miles Michaelis' meatball. It goes 91 down the middle.
God.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Just get rid of him and that salary, and then you can buy 7,000 batting cages.
Fair enough.
I am not a Miles guy.
Yeah, I know. Jack Flaherty, not a Jack Flaherty guy either, and he lost last night to the Padres. That's 1-1 in that series. You got the Phillies Did you guys catch that game?
Yes. No.
Mets and Phillies was a phenomenal.
I saw the highlights,
and forth
but I
game.
didn't see it.
I tuned in late to kind of catch it live, but saw the back and forth early, and then some late game drama. Nick Castellanos, with a game-winning hit for the Phils, needed it.
All he does is hit. Why the Cubs didn't keep him.
Love to have him.
I'm more upset about Schwartz.
Why the Cardinals didn't go after him. I mean, it's not like we didn't have issues in the outfield the last 15 years.
Haven't heard of those at all.
Oh, I'm sorry. We've got Ryan Ludwig. We're good.
All right, that's enough baseball.
That's enough. Yeah, don't start.
Let's go back to the theme of the day, and will be the theme of the week. Illinois battling Purdue, 2:30 kick on Saturday. Brett Bielema gave his initial thoughts on the matchup today.
Well, I thought we had a productive bye week. We had a chance to visit with you guys briefly in the middle of it, but to close out the week, we always kind of balance that between obviously getting our current roster, getting a jump on our opponent, and also a lot of personnel-driven stuff. So I had some good meetings, had some good recruiting trips. We got in 2 really, really good days of just kind of Illinois versus Illinois, and then got into advanced days, including last night on Purdue. So to have that walking into Tuesday's practice tomorrow, hopefully a little bit ahead of schedule. Obviously this weekend with the Hall of Fame, congratulations to Derek was a great player here when I was here, or when I played in Coastal League, and then Robert Holcomb will actually be our guest captain. So we're really excited to be around him. He's actually a high school coach in Arizona now, so it's kind of been fun to reconnect with him. I know he's excited to get here and be a part of it as well. So I thought our guys, came in, flew around on Sunday night. We went out on the lights here for about an hour, and really, the part that you always look at during the bye week is trying to get you guys healthy, but also trying to get you guys fresh. We played five games. It took basically all those games. If you even look at Eastern Illinois, we kept the starters in all the way through the first 3 quarters, and Central Michigan was really a 4-quarter game. So then obviously the 3 ranked opponents were tough battles all the way from start to finish. So to play 5 games to get out of it pretty healthy, I think is a good sign. And then obviously to get some opportunity to get their legs back last week. We'll see exactly where we are going into this week, but I thought our guys accomplished that. Tank said the guys were great in the weight room, and we'll just kind of play this week out as it goes. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful day on Saturday, 2:30. Obviously a rivalry game, a battle for the cannon, all things from A to Z. But I think one thing this group has done a really good job is just focusing on the now, want-to-know mentality. Throughout the course of the first 5 weeks has got us to where we are today, and I don't think anything will change. So excited about the opportunity to play Purdue this week. With that, open up questions.
Brett Aaron said, we don't have it yet, the cannon. How much
never had it, never saw it, never touched it, never smelled it.
So with Purdue struggling, obviously, how much does that help? Just, hey, this is a goal, I want to know.
I understand the question, but like I think when you're dealing in the Big Ten, there's no greater indication than this past weekend. On Sunday, I've always said I always take a minute to kind of look back at college football, and I couldn't afford to pass up on the opportunity to have 3 ranked teams, 3 top 10 teams that obviously had a setback over the weekend, and all 3 of those teams had kind of had premier wins, right? That and then just the way it all kind of played out, all of them were teams that were at home on the other team, the team that other than the Michigan game. Just a lot of different things that factored into it. I did look at 3 common factors of all those games. All 3 lost the turnover margin. All 3 of them almost had double-digit penalties. Obviously, we can't see what other teams do for penalties, mental errors, and MAs and MEs. But I just wanted to make those guys understand those 3 games and how they played out. And I did say, I made this point to our guys. Listen, if I can everybody always asks me 40-year coach, what's the definition of a successful season, right? And I think unequivocally as a head coach, even when I was a coordinator, even when I was a head coach, what you want to do is get through a season without regrets, right? Without a moment of where I wish I would have done this or I wish I would have done that. And all my years of doing it, I haven't been able to do that yet. But I would say through 5 games, there's obviously some things that in every one of those 5 games, you would always go back and correct or do this a little bit better or do that a little different. But I have loved their approach. I love their demeanor. I love their attitude. I love their fight. I love all of the things that, in my opinion, are the things that go into being successful on game day. And we're a 4-1 team that's trying to go 1-0 this week. But I think there's some teams that as you go back and look at it, they probably regret what they maybe had done that day or the way that they had played or the way they approached the game. And right now I don't have that regret in any of our phases overall.
What are you seeing from Purdue, Brett, through their first 5, and obviously they had a coordinator change as well?
Well, obviously they started off very positive. I think the Oregon State game, they were very productive offensively as well, scored a lot of points and did a lot of things. Obviously the Notre Dame game is, kind of treat that as kind of its own little unique entity. I think I think everybody's been a part of those moments when games get away from them as it plays out. So obviously a lot of respect for Ryan and his staff. I know a lot of those guys on a personal level. So I think I know what this game is going to mean to them and to their players. And I think you can take in that when you go into Big Ten play, not just because we're playing for a Cannon Trophy or a rivalry or 2 games that we're guaranteed to play every year. I think this is a Big Ten versus a Big Ten, and you got to come to play every weekend and prepare that way, and hopefully the best team wins on Saturday.
In terms of the tight end position, Brett, when you knew you weren't going to have Cole, I know Henry's been going through some things. Have you really been pleased with what you've gotten out of Tanner and even Carson and the rest?
I go back to when we decided to take Tanner. I just remember seeing him on film. Now he's a kid that had some Wisconsin roots. There was just something that jumped out to me. Knew some common coaches that had crossed paths with him and just talked about who he was, demeanor-wise, attitude. He came on his visit, and I'm like, okay, this kind of fits our DNA. And then just what he did since he's been here, just the evolution of his body, his strength, speed, development. I thought even last year, it was really evident that, Tip was our best, tight end, not only in line, but also kind of all the things we did, but really wanted to, if I could have one thing over, I wish that, we probably had a better complement to Tip last year just because we played so much 11 personnel, didn't allow us to get in other personnel groupings. Tanner wasn't quite there yet, but last spring you began to see it. I remember Ben Miller coming up to me halfway through and he goes, hey, we were spot on with that evaluation. I think he's just a guy that's going to do a lot of really good things for us. So, yeah, Tanner's been extremely impressive. I think Goda has been a guy that, just continues to show up, a little bit limited with a hamstring, but even during fall camp and where he's at today, Henry Boyer getting him back full strength. He had a really big week last week. He's a big body that can run and does some really good things. So I've been stressing and pressing him really the last 3 weeks to make a step forward. So I like that room overall, and there's a couple other guys that I've added in that room as well.
We hear you talk about good teams, the three things: stop the run. What do you feel like you guys are?
What's the third?
Cover kicks.
There you go.
I looked a little bit. What do you feel like you guys have with those first two things through 5 games?
Yeah, big point of emphasis, right? When you're establishing a run game, first off, I think you gotta have your identity, right? Like, what do you want to do? How do you want to do it? What personnel groupings? But I know going into the Penn State game, coming out of it, from a pure running back standpoint, I think Caden Fagan, Hayden Lawfrey, Josh McCray, and then throw in the X factor of Khalil. Like, those four guys are very talented players, right? And what we got to do is put them in a position to let their skills show up, right? And offensively, I think one of the things that has been not a challenge, but one of the things that we've struggled with through the first 5 games is being consistent in the throw game and the run game, and that was the main task that I went Barry to go back and look and with Barton with that and Step and Dish and just kind of figure out how we can kind of put this thing all together, be more consistent in our approach. And then from a run defense, I knew Penn State was they had those 2 good running backs. They had the skill set of their offensive coordinator. Talked about we need to play good run defense, and obviously we did at times, but not near as good enough to be successful. I think the key thing for them was running. They're running for 240, and we're running for the numbers that we did. Obviously the sack yardage came into play a little bit, but obviously the discrepancy in able to run the football was a big part of that game.
That Penn State game aside, defense obviously improved quite a bit over the first 5 games. Can you point to 2 or 3 things where you think has helped turn that around this year defensively?
Well, I think first off, not to overstate the obvious, but Aaron is a second-year coordinator. I think I made, even though statistically my first year to my second year wasn't as good statistically, I think I learned some things in that second year better than my first year. So just to learn, every coordinator I've been associated with, they've always been better in year 2 than year 1. Like, there's just this process that you have to go through that is very unique to that moment. So I think Aaron's maturity there, but also his support staff, I think, without a doubt on defense, between Clint, Archie, and Corey, those 3 guys have brought a lot to the table that have helped Aaron grow. And just the chemistry in that room, Terrence Jamison and Aaron have been together a long time, known each other as players. So it all starts in the chemistry of that environment. I would tell you that I think, we're playing a game where we're seeing a guy that, the success of what he had here really parlayed into the opportunity that he got at Purdue. And I think when I go back and think about all those things, all he talked about was the chemistry in that environment, defensive staff room, that made that moment come through. So, listen, there's a lot that goes into players and schemes, but if you're not together in that coaching staff with the way you respectively approach offense, defense, and special teams, you're not going to have success on the field. So I think that's the biggest one. The second one, I think, we lost some really good players, but the development and the emergence of our outside linebacker play, I think Alex Bray and Dennis Briggs inside have been very, very big part. They're most productive players. And then the development of T-Rod Edwards, I think, inside really has helped us, but by far the biggest change has probably come on the back end of the play of Miles Scott, Xavier Scott, Torrey Cox, Caleb Patterson. T. Brooks has come around the last couple of weeks, so I think the development of the back end guys has been really probably the single biggest factor, other than just getting a cohesive unit of the coaching staff.
What did you like about this past week, what was accomplished with the 2s, 3s, look team getting the reps? Whether it pays off this week, this year, a year from now? Well,
I made a point on Wednesday and Thursday, when we had a lot of reps, it was 2s, 3s, 3s. The Devo guys were kind of in the 3s, but I've just been a part of this long enough. I was sitting there looking right at Art Sikowski, right? Like I just said, I challenged him on both days. There's a player right now on this field that just got the majority of the reps today that will have a factor in us winning a game this season, right? And I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know how it's going to come about. It could be on the second play of the first quarter. It could be on the second play of the second half. It could be on the second to last play of the game. At some point, somebody in this group is going to have to step forward for us to get a win in Big Ten play, and that's what I love about this environment is we have, a 4-game stretch of Big Ten opponents in front of us. Nothing more important than Purdue. For us to have success on Saturday is going to be about how we prepare our ones, our twos, and really those fringe guys that help us in a variety of different ways.
Coach, when you see a guy from your coaching tree like Coach Walters, and the team's struggling, how does that make you feel? And what would be your advice to kind of help?
You know what? I appreciate the question, but I really don't. When you're in season, right? I've had 7 or 8 guys become head coaches, right? Like I love them, care about them, respect them, but so entrenched. Even like last week, like it's just everybody thinks bye week, but it's for myself, I was in town literally 2 nights during the 6-day stretch. Like you're just so immersed in what you're doing. We're playing Purdue, and that kind of brings it up, but it really is a non-factor.
This is probably a little off the radar, but like we've seen like players, other schools, redshirt and kind of opt to redshirt, I guess. I'm just curious if you have any thoughts on that and how, if at all, you would consider maybe how you would handle this.
Yeah, well, you guys obviously interviewed me last week, and I brought it up for a reason, right? The whole element of having 5 years of eligibility, I think, would eradicate kind of that problem. But there are troubleshoot problems around that too, right? If you include a 5th year and what that means, but. I would say it popped up in our building more than it's ever happened in my 16 years as head coach, and not even a question. So some of those haven't come to light yet, but I have definitely had the conversations. I think just the world that we're living in now, the social media awareness. The other X factor is this whole COVID thing, right? Like, so you got guys that had extended high school careers because of COVID, right? And they got we have guys that are in extended college careers because of COVID. So until this kind of window cleans up, I think it kind of gets glorified a little bit more. But yeah, I think there's, I always go back to like, even when I first came here, right? Like, we all know how you do, science experiments when you're young, right? Like you control one factor, right? Like whether it's heat, whether it's freezing, whether it's a chemical, like when the science experiments come together, you got one variable, you know what's going on. When you add 2 or 3, right, you never know how the results are going to play out. And in college football right now, the portal, the NIL, the changing world of NIL to revenue share, the addition of a 105-man roster and maybe more scholarships or maybe not, 4 years of eligibility versus 5, it's just a bunch of variations and factors that are very hard to navigate as a head coach, but it's also what makes our job great.
You mentioned T. Brooks. Just what has led him, in your mind, to continually, week by week, become more and more of a factor?
Well, it's probably a good question for Terrence, but you guys probably haven't been able to do Terrence, right? I just think a guy that has come in, there's always going to be an adjustment factor to how we do things. We really don't vary on how we approach things. I do think we put a lot of, in my opinion, a lot of thought into how we handle every player. Every player is a little bit different. They come in with a different resource, a different background. I don't think you can, paint every player with the same brush, but on the same account, you have to have some accountability to it, right? So I think, however he came in, the adjustments he's made, he's been very diligent. Corey Parker, I can't say enough about how he just handles every moment with Terrence, and also Torrey Cox, and Caleb Patterson. Like, those are 3 guys that are playing the majority of reps who didn't even see the field last year, and all 3 of those guys are playing extremely well. So, and there's some Jaheim Clark, T. Strain, just a lot of guys that I think have been listening, buying, and growing without maybe reps on the field. But I think the best part about Terrence Brooks is everything that you've seen, it's only going to get better, and last week was a good indicator of it.
You have money laying all around your house. You just don't know it. And no, I don't mean selling your great-grandma's good china. I mean all the old metal items you don't want to use or get rid of. Don't pay someone to haul it away. Bring it into Max Twin City Recycling and get paid to have it taken off your hands. They love new customers and are more than willing to walk you through their process step by step. Come check them out at 2808 North Lincoln Avenue in Urbana.
Starting it over is what we do at Max Twin City Recycling.
Grit and Grace Therapy presents Back the Badge with Stephanie Pratt. Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group at City Center on Friday, October 4th with big guns. Ben Warrant rocking the stage. The 1078 Foundation will benefit from the Back the Badge concert. Go online and get your general admission tickets for $25 or Party Pit passes at $45 each. Try to win from Stevie J Broadcasting. Text in Warrant to 217-359-2255. With Big Guns, the opening act before Warrant. It'll be a great night as we support the mental health of our local first responders with the newly developed Anchor Point. Go online to get your tickets with Stephanie Pratt, the realtor that rocks, from Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group and Stevie J Broadcasting.
She's with the Parkland Police. Why are you in law enforcement, Jessica?
Well, it's actually something that I kind of fell into. It was never my dream to be a police officer as a little kid. I wanted to do casework in the prison system with sex offenders.
I mean, you got some real troubled people, and you wanted to get involved and do that.
I did. My background, I believe, allows me some empathy.
Perspective.
For sure. And that crisis intervention is one of the key components to a first responder like the police.
Absolutely.
So what do you want people to know about police officers and policing?
I think community policing is still where we need to be. It's not just a buzzword. It is the actual core of what we need to be doing, being out and actively building those relationships, building those bonds with people so that they know that you are a safe space, that they know that they can come to you.
Stephanie Pratt, Coldwell Banker Real Estate Group, the realtor that rocks, supports local law enforcement with Stevie J Broadcasting. The 15th Annual Disability Resource Expo is coming October 26th from 11 to 4 at Marketplace Mall. Gather information and talk to representatives from around 70 disability service providers. Brought to you by Champaign County's Mental Health and Developmental Disability Boards. Presented by Thrivent Financial, East Central Illinois Group. Enjoy the Adapted Fashion Show at 1 o'clock. Brought to you by Equitability. October 26th, 11 to 4 at Marketplace Mall. Learn more at disabilityresourceexpo.org.
Finishing up on the drive with Sam Piper, ESPN Radio 93.5. Still no runs in Cleveland. Top 7, 0-0. Guardians were threatening. Schoolbowl gets out of it.
First and third, right?
First and third, one out. Double play. Got the Yankees and Royals in Game 2 tonight in New York.
Okay. Is that it for today? 2 games?
2 games, yep.
I need to dial in. What are they all on ESPN?
We got a couple on TBS. And then the others are on Fox.
Okay.
Is that right? Or are they on
FS1, I think.
FS1, okay.
Some maybe on Fox.
I'm going to watch some baseball tonight.
Thing.
I'm going to watch that Yankees Royals. Royals almost got him, right? 6-5?
Yep.
Okay. I'm kind of rooting for the Royals.
Why not?
I saw there were like 15 former Cardinals in the playoffs.
You okay with what? There are quite a few. You okay watching the AL Central battle in the ALCS? Royals and either the Tigers or Cleveland Guardians?
That is kind of weird. It's kind of a boring.
Little bit.
Although
the NLCS is guaranteed to be really good.
If you give me the Yankees against Dodgers or Phillies, that would be a fun World Series. Or Padres.
Mets, you there for?
Yeah, that's true, Mets. Boy, they're playing good baseball, aren't they? They got enough talent.
They do. They do.
I kind of want to see the Padres. I'm rooting for them.
You know what? Yeah. I said that, and then I was like, no, you know who I want to see? The Padres. Let's go.
Especially after you saw the Dodger fan situation last night where they were throwing baseballs at Jurickson Profar. They had to delay the game for like 10 minutes. It's a legitimate thing. I don't know if you saw him rob the homer.
I did see that.
Where he went in and he kind of toyed with the fans, like he pretended he didn't rob it. And then apparently that section threw a couple baseballs at him.
Wow.
What? Like while he was in the outfield, they had to stop the game, and he was mad about it. And then the Padres teed off at like 4 more homers, started taunting the Dodger fans. So, yeah, I'm rooting for the Padres.
Did they hit him with the ball?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Man.
That's sad.
It's just the Dodgers losing. I won't be upset about it at all.
No. Yeah, isn't that funny? Like the disdain for the Dodgers now is like it was forever with the Yankees. And it's kind of lowered now for the Yankees because they haven't done much in a while.
I agree.
But yet, it wouldn't take me long. It's kind of like that game against the Cubs when the Cardinals play them. I'm like, I'm looking forward to this. We'll see what happens in the first pitch of the game. I'm like, I hate the Cubs. And I don't know what it is, and that's what it is with the Yankees,
That's
too.
fair.
I'm just like, yeah.
I will say, I'd be more apt to root for Aaron Judge